What's up everybody, JC with Stoner Car Care. Today we are back with another science of car care. Today we're talking about our reach and clean tool. Lots of people think it's just a simple imported tool. There's actually a lot of science and engineering behind it, all getting to the problem of you can't clean what you can't reach. Let's get into it. So as you've probably seen with some of our previous videos, cleaning glass, even easy to access glass, can be a challenging task alone. You need the proper cleaner, you need the proper technique, proper cloths, things like that, because streaks can cause real issues depending on where the sun is. You think your glass is perfect, the sun hits it at that right angle, and then boom, you see all the streaks you left behind. It's an even more difficult task in places that you can't physically reach. And even if you can physically reach them, we're talking about these deep, long windshields, deep, long dashes. Even if you can get your fingers there, there's no way you're gonna get proper kind of cleaning technique or pressure on them, and you're gonna be doing, a contorting routine while trying to do that. Other places like back windshields, especially in like a two-seater, there's 3 or 4 feet between the door access and the back of this window. So if there's any dirt or smudges back there, it's kind of like good luck getting back there. So the reach and clean tool really does solve that problem of cleaning what you couldn't normally reach with just your normal hand and a microfiber towel. So typically when we're doing a science of video, we're getting into chemistry and things like that. This is a little bit different. We're gonna talk about the engineering and the design that's going into this reach and clean tool. Again, like we said, you can't clean what you can't reach. That's kind of the problem that this tool solves. But on the science engineering side, what we're really trying to optimize with this tool is access, friction, and pressure. If you get those things in the right magnitude, at the right level, at the right spot on your car, that's when you get the optimal cleaning with this tool. So just to look how we get those 3 things, again, access, friction, pressure. Start with the handle. So again, this is a very substantial tool. You've probably seen some of the videos out there of some of the testers showing how strong this tool actually is. Just for the record, and maybe Brett can find videos of this, you can hit this thing with a car, run it over with your tires, it's gonna be fine. This handle will transfer pretty easily a lot of your strength and pressure through the head of this tool with very little effort. Great, easy to grab handle. Again, universal adapter if you need to go higher on an RV, things like that. Again, this is all for access. This handle is mostly the access part of the access friction pressure. Getting on that long dash, getting behind your seat in a coupe, getting up on that RV, lifted truck, things like that, you need that access. It also helps deliver that friction and pressure because it transfers your strength from your arm, your wrist, through that tool. So that covers most of the details on the actual extension handle. Next part that we're gonna talk about here is the cleaning head, where this actually has a lot of the patents and the technology as well in this tool. Again, patented shape. When you look at the head itself, the shape is patented to help optimize cleaning the difficult corners in your car, your windshields, things like that, but also designed to make sure there's no sharp edges to damage expensive interiors like Alcantara or your interior, headliner, things like that. You don't want those to catch. So there's a patent design for that. Also, the head itself is rigid enough to give you some of that friction and pressure we talked about with our 3 cleaning categories here, access, friction, pressure, but also does have a good amount of flex. Now this is gonna help, and we'll show you when we get into the car, for the contoured windshields, things like that. You want that adapting to the shape and the geometry of the bend of the glass to make sure you have that even pressure, even friction against that cleaning surface. Also, on the newest version of our automotive tool, if you can see, if Brett can see this nicely, you'll notice that these 3 corners have a slight concave geometry to them, and that's called tips down technology. And what that does is almost primes this head to adapt to the surface. So whether or not it's kind of concave glass or convex glass, this is gonna be able to adapt to that to give you that nice, even friction and pressure for cleaning. So now that we've covered all the engineering and science behind this tool, let's get inside the car and see how it applies to cleaning your glass. For our technique video, check out the description. We'll post a video we've done previously on the best ways to actually use this to clean. But for this video on the science, Again, we're talking about access, friction, pressure, and you can't clean what you can't reach. So the Corvette, which is the car we're in right now, is one of the favorite cars of the Reach and Clean tool because of how many problems there are. Long dash, long hood, and very difficult to work the windshield, the front windshield, because we're in some fairly deep bucket seats. It's hard to get to. But when you have this tool that gives you that access, friction, pressure, without very much effort at all, I can get all the way to the tip and edge of this windshield and dash, again, with no concerns about damaging the dash itself, and very easily being able to get to every part of this windshield from the comfort of the passenger seat. So again, if you have some more aggressive stains, this extension handle allows you to put an incredible amount of pressure to generate that friction at the microfiber if you need it. And if you're just doing a routine clean, you can basically dial that back to very easily kind of drive the cleaning solution, the invisible glass, across that windshield to, again, access the dirt, clean it, and remove it onto the bonnet. Back at the rear of the Z06 this time, one of the best examples of a challenge for access, friction, and pressure. So the rear windshield of this car is contoured, fairly extreme contour on this. There's no back seat, obviously, so access is an issue. Getting, even with the single extension from the door, is, maybe halfway to that windshield. Very hard. So, but for the record, Wet Dry Pro has an additional extension handle to help you get to that. Even with that, for some people, that's going to be an issue. Taking a job that's borderline impossible, it still is a challenge, but we're going to crawl in here and show how even at awkward angles, we're going to be able to get good access, friction, and pressure to clean this rear windshield. So still a relatively difficult angle. However, with the tool, I can still get a lot of pressure on this and access all corners of this rear windshield. Now, for those of you screaming that, hey, idiot, you can pop the rear trunk on a Z06, yes, we know that. But just for the record, let's take a look at what this looks like. This is still a relatively difficult rear windshield to clean, even with the back lid open. So this sits at a pretty high angle. This is still pretty far away. I'm over 6 feet, and this is a far lean and reach for me. This tool helps put a lot of pressure on this glass, again, to fulfill the requirements of access, friction, and pressure. To further illustrate what we're talking about with access, friction, and pressure, check out this demo that's going to show the difference of this head, this engineered head with the tool, cleaning on this surface versus just a balled up microfiber. So this is a little bit of an extreme demonstration to show the access, friction, pressure challenge, to show it as visually as we can. Obviously, we all know quartering a microfiber towel is a great way to clean glass, but with a kind of awkward reach, intentionally being far away from my body, I wouldn't do that normally, but to demonstrate that, reaching far away to get any kind of downward pressure on there, you get hot spots on your fingers. Normally, cleaning glass, you're going to be able to get through this by wiping, but this is showing really how much pressure variation is across your hand in a microfiber towel versus Reach and Clean tool, the engineering behind that handle, the head, the contour of the tips down, the flexing head. I can reach pretty comfortably across this windshield and get a much more even clean. So in those tough spots, you're going to have the best likelihood of getting a good result in those tight corners, in those back corners, in those crevices, things like that. So that's really what we're trying to demonstrate here. An additional thing to point out with our tips down head, it is compatible with both the bonnets and the covers. Now there's some confusion here, so I'm going to point that out. The original bonnets have the elastic around, and they fit a little bit more snug than the covers, and they use elastic to kind of keep them attached to the head. This was the original design. Some people still prefer this, but we did receive a lot of feedback that when people were cleaning lots of glass, it was a little bit of a hassle to get those on and off repeatedly. So the next version is the covers, which there is no elastic. The microfiber here is kept on simply with the interaction of the foam backing and the microfiber itself. So again, gives a nice even cleaning surface, but much easier to get off and replace with a dry one. For tighter spaces, again, this is available in the Wet Dry Pro kit. We have the Mini Pro head, which we call the little football shaped head. Again, adapts nicely to our extension handle that fits both heads, and will get you in much tighter spots. Works great for side view mirrors, or very small kind of rear quarter panel windows if you have a sedan or something like that. One final tip to talk about, we get some questions about why we call it the Wet Dry Pro. If you have that option, some people prefer to use the small head and bonnet to actually apply the cleaner. So they'll take the small football head and bonnet, they'll take the invisible glass, and they'll use this saturated with cleaner to actually put the cleaning solution down on the glass, and then fairly quickly switch to the standard cleaning head with a larger microfiber waffle weave to dry and do the final polish of that glass. That is the science and engineering behind the Reach and Clean tool. Thank you for listening to Science of Car Care. If you have other ideas you'd like to hear about, please let us know. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.